Hey everyone, welcome back to the District 3 podcast. This is Irvin. My co-hosts are not joining me today, but I'm well accompanied by three very driven and dynamic journalists, local news here in Northwest Arkansas, representing actually three different stations. So I'm really excited about having these folks here with us today. I've been trying to make this interview happen for a while, and now all three of them are here. You know, we finally figured out the schedule, right? And we have joining us first from KNWA, we have Brianna Moore. From 5 News, we have Rachel Williams. And from 4029 News, we have Katani Gooch. Thank you all for joining us today.
Of course. Thanks for having us.
Yes.
How are y'all feeling? How's today's what, Thursday?
Yeah.
We're getting close to the weekend. Does that even matter for you and in your jobs, or you just got to wake up at 3 in the morning every day?
It does for me, for my schedule. Because once Friday hits, I'm off the clock.
Well, today's my Saturday because I am the weekend anchor. So, you know, Saturday is my Monday. So today's my Saturday. Pretty productive, getting some errands done. So it's a good day for me because I slept in. So.
Right.
Dang. Today is my Wednesday because I work Saturday mornings. So, but it does still feel like a Thursday because anchoring is a lot different than reporting, and so it's a little bit more chill. So it still feels like tomorrow's Friday for me.
Okay, so besides the actual dates, what does the time frame look like for you, for each one of you, in regards to your schedule right now? When do you start? When do you normally get out?
It depends on the week because this
really?
week, well, normally my schedule is Saturday through Wednesday. That on the weekends I'm like 2:00 to 10:30 or 11, depending on if football goes long, because we're in football season. And then Monday through Wednesday when I'm reporting, I'm 9:30 to 6:30 dayside. But this week my schedule was dayside on Monday, and then Tuesday and Wednesday did morning. So I woke up at like 2 a.m., got ready and everything. Loved it though. I was off by noon, so no complaints there. Okay. But it's just the going to bed part that's a little hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I was talking with Katani before we started recording about her schedule, because she was telling me that she has to go in like at 3 in the morning, and I'm like in my second dream at that time.
I'm not even in my first. Okay. Yeah, my schedule is Tuesday through Saturday, and so Tuesday through Friday I'm 3 to 12, and then on Saturdays I'm 4 to 1. So it's pretty consistent with the whole going to sleep. I should be going to sleep at like around 8, but I usually be in bed by like 9, and I just suffer. And I'll take a nap after, and then try to eat dinner and be back in bed around 9.
Well, daylight
8,
savings
whatever.
helps too.
It does
now.
a little bit. I already had blackout curtains, so.
Oh, okay. I know. Mine are white. So, like, in the summer, when I felt it in the mornings, it was so hard to go to bed.
I will say it's funny, like, whenever I see, because I know Brianna is most of the times mornings. I'm going to see her. But whenever I wake up and I see Rachel, I'm like, oh, hey, Rachel. Because I know that she's usually not mornings. Like, she's usually night side. So it's like, I know that was a flip.
I prefer it, though, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to be in bed rubbing my feet together at 10. At 10 p.m. Like,
For mornings?
No, like, so what I'm saying, when I work night side, like, I'm just like, like, I kind of want to be in bed right now. But, like, when I'm mornings, I like rubbing my feet together about like 9.
Literally.
What about you, Brianna?
Yeah, so my schedule is kind of all over the place. And like they were saying, I definitely think it just depends on the week. A title officially is morning reporter. Had moved there probably beginning of this year in January. But yeah, it just depends on the week. Because, for example, this week in particular, Monday, I did a 9 to 6 schedule. Then got cut a little early to go home and sleep, to wake up and do some live interviews for our morning show. And that's getting in station roughly around 2:30. And then the next day, he worked 9 to 6, and then ended up on call for this morning to go in and fill an anchor for our morning show. So it definitely depends. You got to be flexible in this industry. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And I think one thing that's interesting for me is that you all kind of already know each other.
Yeah.
You know, whenever I brought it up to Rachel was like, Black women in media. Like, of course we know each other.
Yeah.
So I find that interesting. How do you all know each other?
Well, whenever I've been here for 2.5 years, but whenever I saw these girls coming in, I was excited because I was like, because beforehand, when I first moved here, it was only me, another reporter at KNW that was Black, and then Micah at my station. It was just like, obviously Jackie, but she's an anchor. There was just like us three. So, and whenever they all came, I was like, there's more Black women coming? Like, yes. Because, like, it just wasn't that many. And so it was like, it was her, it was Katani, it was Akira, like, and Kayla came. Like, it was so many more that came. And so, like, we even had, like, a group chat. And we, like, all, I think Jackie organized it. And we all just, like, went out to go eat and just, like, catch up and just, like, see the different backgrounds and stuff and just, like, get to know each other. I just think it was more of just, like, we don't see that much of us here. And so we needed, like, some type of unity and stuff, sisterhood.
Literally, it was like Jackie, kudos to her, really kind of generating a little community for us coming in, because I know when I got here, I was very lonely, and I moved here from Texas and don't know anyone in Arkansas before I got here, and don't have any connections in Arkansas. So it was just great. And I feel like a lot of people always think, we're probably, we are competitors, but at the same time, we're all one big news family. If you think about it, when we see the other stations, if we're out on the story, we're like, hey, y'all, we're going up talking, like, what you get? We probably shouldn't be doing that, if our bosses are tuning in or anything like that. But we are all family at the end of the day, trying to serve the community all in the same way. So
in the club, we all fam.
I will say, like, it was really crazy. Like, I was telling you off mic.
Off mic? There's a camera rolling too.
My first breaking news story, like, it was like early August or early September, I had just started reporting, going live and stuff. And my first breaking news story, Rachel was out there, but so was Kayla Cade and Demara. Or Demara was the reporter and Kayla Cade was, like, shadowing her. And so I just remember I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is breaking news, 5 o'clock, primetime TV, and all of the reporters are black. And it was like, I literally texted my mom. All of us had different hairstyles, and I was like, Mom! And then I remember, like, it was like my second or third time meeting Rachel, whatever, first time meeting Kayla and Demara, and it was just really crazy to me, because when I moved here to Arkansas, people were like, there's none of us there. And I was like, look, there is. I was like, look, like, we're literally telling the stories of the community, so boom, now what? And so it's just really cool, like she was saying, because it was like once I got here, and then, like, you got here, and then Kayla was already here, but Kayla Cade. But then she had started actually reporting and stuff. So it was like boom, boom, boom. I was like, wow,
right? At all stations too. So it was like no matter what station you tuned in, you were gonna see a black woman, which was not how it was before.
Which I feel that there's probably more black women representation in the news than there maybe ever has here in Northwest Arkansas.
Most
definitely. I think definitely in Northwest Arkansas. Yeah,
I'm always scared to say stuff like that, because I feel like someone's gonna be like, you should remember 2003.
No, it's literally so real, because I went to Arkansas Fort Smith, and I would always watch 5 News. That was like in 2018, and I don't remember seeing anyone black. Like, everyone I saw, I remember, like, Allie Lynch, like, blonde hair, blue eyes, like, and I was just like, I don't know. I mean, I don't look like that, but like, I never saw the representation here, and besides, like, obviously Jackie, but like, yeah, like, beforehand there was no this many of us of representation.
So what does it mean to y'all now that you are going to be the people that younger black women will look at and be like, oh, there's an example of someone of that I can be also a reporter? What does that mean to you, like, that responsibility?
Honestly,
it's a privilege.
Man, it is, and it holds some weight, because at the end of the day, essentially the next generation is looking at us as an example of what they can do. So I definitely don't take it lightly, and that's even one of the reasons that I did this job, was because I want to be a good role model for that next generation. And I think to be able to show an area that maybe isn't as diverse as that, you can do it. At the end of the day, I am looking forward, to a world where we aren't looking at color. We aren't having people discriminated because of their age, Everybody's just going to work and doing their job. So I think that's great for us to kind of slowly be a part of this new wave,
To me, it's a privilege and an honor, and I, like you said, I don't take it lightly at all. I've met women. I've met, like, women I think I went to, like, a thing at the U of A, and it was this mixed woman. Well, the child was mixed, and, like, she obviously, like, did have similar traits as me, and she was like, thank you so much for, like, being who you are on TV, and like, wearing your braids, and like, I've worn my natural hair a few times, transitioning over to the the in-between hairstyle. But like, I wore my natural hair one time, and she was like, my daughter has never seen that on TV. Aww. And like, I took a picture with her, and she was like, that meant the world to me that like you did that. Like, can we take a picture? Yeah. So like, that to me was just everything, because like that's why I got into news too as well. Like I grew up in Dallas, and like I did not see a lot of Black women. There were like a few, like Cynthia Isagire or like Cleo Green, you know, those Hispanic Black, but like those are the only two women that I saw growing up on TV, and I just wanted to see like more of us. So that's just one of the reasons why I got in it. But it means a lot.
Yeah.
How about you, Katani?
Yeah, I was gonna kind of piggyback off what Rachel was saying, just about like seeing those like, you know, Black women in media when I was younger, and that was a big reason why I wanted to get into the industry too, is just kind of like their role and the privilege that they have, and the kind of the weight that they hold, just like being such a model for us, without even probably like, I mean, I'm sure they know it, but you know, like I'm sure none of us go into the job thinking like, oh my gosh, the little Black girl is watching me on TV. Exactly. But it's something that comes up later, you know, like once getting into the position and stuff, I've had people from school like reach out to me, and like it's interesting that you bring up hair, because that's always a topic of discussion with Black women on TV. And so like I've had several people like in college still like, you know, like, what did they say about your? I change my hair so frequently.
Girl,
like,
me
I got the job that I have with butt length red braids, red hair, and I told her in the interview, I was like, I change my hair every 2 months, and I was like, if that's a problem, like, I'm gonna go. And so like I've had several people, like several younger Black women back at my school at OU. They've been like, you know, like, what did you say? Like, how do you negotiate that? Like, what does that look like? And I just think like, who else is gonna have these kind of conversations? You know, like people that don't look like us cannot talk to you about this kind of thing, and they don't know how to navigate that conversation because they don't know like what it means. And like there's been times when I've accidentally wore my pick on camera, and like I've had people, and I promise it wasn't an accident. I wasn't trying to make no statement or nothing. I have my pick in my afro because it's windy here. Like I need to pick the fro out sometimes, and so like I've had the pick in, and I've had people reach out to me, and they're just like, you know, like we've never seen anybody like authentically Black on here, and like I think before like me and Phil and LaKyra, the only 3 Black on talent people, there was like one other Black woman I've researched at 40. So
Is it Iffy?
yes, yeah. And so kind of just what they were all saying, like it's an honor, it's a privilege, and it's a weight that we carry, but I love to carry it, you know.
Okay, love to.
We were made to carry it.
Yeah. Literally.
Are there any challenges that y'all are facing as Black women in this industry that you, and we don't have to call out anybody, right, specifically, but like, is there anything that you've seen that you're kind of like, man, this kind of needs to change in regards to just your own identity?
I feel like what Katani was saying, I mean, hair is a big topic of discussion. And
For certain companies.
Yeah, for certain companies, yes.
Mine, they love it.
Yeah.
So.
You know, and I also think sometimes it kind of varies kind of by station, who's leading you, that type of deal. But even though certain companies maybe aren't pressing the issue as much, it's still something that's looked down upon, whether we want to talk about it or not. The company can give the green light all day, but you're having those viewers that are questioning you, you know what I'm saying, just because of your hairstyle, you know. Maybe some of your coworkers, you know, they can't say nothing because of the company is like, you have a green light, but in the back of their head, they're questioning you. Why does she have that color? Why does she have that? That doesn't look professional. So we're constantly fighting that battle, you know, whether we want to kind of talk about it, that or not. It's not so much of a forefront conversation, but it's still there, you know. And then I think on the other end, for me, I think as Black women, just not even in this industry in particular, but we always are having to work twice as hard to prove ourselves.
5-10 times
you know?
more.
And that's something that we're taught, you know, growing up, but it really is something in this industry because you have all eyes watching you. And it's almost like sometimes it feels like they're wanting you to maybe slip up. They're wanting you to, you know, their eyes are on you 10 times as hard because it's sometimes that feeling of like, how did she get here, you know, as a woman of color in media. Yeah. How is she telling my news? And it's just, when we go back to the history, we don't have to go into that much, but we know the history, you know, kind of our country. But we're moving to a different era, I feel, slowly but surely. But for all of us, we have always had to work twice as hard to get to where we are. And we have something to prove, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of our moms have probably raised us and told us, you have to be 5 times good just to be half as good as your white counterparts. Exactly. And I think there's even a quote from Scandal that's similar to that. Yeah. Like her dad was, that was telling her that you have to be that way. And I never understood it until I would say I got to college or moved here. Like I went to an HBCU, and so obviously like it was even playing field. But like when I left that HBCU, it was completely different. Like I can't do the same things that my white counterparts do because it's just different. And it always is going to be different. And so I have to always be better and I have to always work harder just because not only am I a woman, but I'm a Black woman.
Exactly.
So that's like a double whammy.
Yeah.
So I like piggybacking on what all you've said, like 100%. Luckily at my station, I don't have the problem with the hair. Yeah. They love when I change my hairstyle. Like they're literally like, "What's next?" Like, like when I put on the blonde wig, "What's next?" Like braids, like, and then I'm just like, even my meteorologist the other day, he was like, "Is it still braid season?" And I'm like, "No, it's silk press season, and it's coming next week." Like they are ready for my next hairstyle. So like, not every station or company is like that, but I have met friends in the industry where they're like, oh, they have to ask their boss to change their hair. Baby, y'all paying? Well, not even if y'all was paying, y'all not. You can't tell me. You can't tell us how to do our hair. Our hair is like texture and it's way different from y'all's. So like, I just don't think that our hair should not be a topic of conversation. Like, if we have our hair in a fro, that doesn't take away if it's professional or not.
Exactly.
Like, it's our hair. Yeah. But that's what I would say. I agree. It's hair and just having to always be better. Like I've even thought about I got my master's for fun. I always say that, but I really got it just because I'm a Black woman. And I'm like, you know what? Like I can't be like everyone else. I can't be like my white counterparts. I need another degree just because even though our industry doesn't require it, I was like, I just need another degree. So I got it. And then I've even thought about wanting to pick up Spanish and learn Spanish just so I can have just something else on my resume, but that'll make me stick out from my white counterparts who will probably get the job over me because they're blonde hair, blue eyed. Like, okay, like I need to have something else to prove that why I'm qualified enough for this job. So yeah, I've thought about picking up Spanish classes because it's like, I don't know if I go to bigger markets if being Black is enough. Like I'm gonna need something else. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. Or 4.
Okay.
Or 4. I'm a yapper. Certified yapper.
We're journalists.
Right, we can talk on it.
Do you think that could change if like there was more people of color in positions of power at like a lot of these?
Yes, but also some people are really willing if you like to listen. Like my old news director, Morgan Schaub, like I love her down because she was really all about she'll never understand where I'm coming from as a Black woman, but she was very empathetic to try to understand. Yeah. And so I think if you have those people who, like those non-Black people who want to try to understand,
of course,
that could help. Yeah. Because whenever I would tell her, like there was a situation that made me really upset at the station and I held it in because I don't want to be the angry Black woman. And when I told her that, she was like, Rachel, you will never be the angry Black woman to me. She was like, is that how you feel? And I'm like, honestly, like, yeah, that's why I didn't say anything. And she was like, no, I would have never thought that. And so like being able to have that leader that you can go to and talk about those things, I think can help. Yeah. If they're willing to listen, but they have to be willing to listen and willing to try to like hear where you're coming from. Some people will never try to put themselves in our shoes, and that's a problem.
Yeah, and I think for me, like I feel like you were saying, grateful for leadership, and I'm pretty grateful for my leader at my current station. He is a white male, and so it's like a lot of things we do have to take the time to explain, and as Black women, it's exhausting, but at the same time, we can't get upset with them for something that they don't know. So if I got to explain to you kind of why I may have to get braids opposed to flat ironing my hair every single day, just kind of got to break it down to you what breakage looks like, how it's going to help me grow my hair, how this is better for me overall, so it's like just something that has to be explained. And I think that's where society is kind of moving into a better direction because I feel everybody's taking the time to learn where everyone is, at least trying to learn where everybody is coming from. So I think that's something, it's still a lot of work that needs to be done with it. It's a lot of Black women in media now, that are constantly trying to fight for that. But it's just something I feel that's been built into our minds because even some maybe Black people in people of color, period, in higher power and higher positions will maybe even challenge you that certain hairstyles aren't as professional. You have, some Black moms, I have some friends' moms who don't let them get colored hair. You know what I'm saying? So it's something that I think the culture and everybody as a whole can slowly pivot their mindset when it comes to the quote unquote, idea of what professionalism should look like. So I think
Some
everybody.
people are like that too because they don't want us to be stereotyped. Like think about Michelle Obama. Did we ever see her in braids during the time Obama was in office?
That's true.
No. Because she was trying to protect the image. She didn't get raised till afterwards. And so it was just like
No color.
no color. No, like she kept it simple with that silk press and like few extensions.
It was
Same
like
with Kamala.
when Beyonce went to Kamala's rally and she didn't have this. They were talking about how she didn't have the 613.
Yeah.
With the blonde hair.
Thank you for clarifying.
right.
They were like, y'all saw how she showed up with the honey blonde because 613 is seen as so and so or whatever.
Yes.
It's party. It's the
Right.
so she didn't show up to that and that, which I thought was so interesting because I never would have like looked at that and been like, But once somebody brought it up, I was like, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Like that's exactly why she didn't have 613 hair because
And that's her signature.
exactly.
Yeah.
It looked good on her though.
Is there like a level of that you all feel like you needing to assimilate to be in the news?
No, I never change. I'm gonna be me.
Yeah.
Katani, I see you're struggling over there. What are you
so I'm gonna just say like, what?
The last.
She's like, yeah.
Okay, so like assimilate and adapt are two different things, and so I would just be like, how do I say this? When I'm interviewing certain people, there are certain ways that I'm going to steer the conversation that I know is going to get me an interview. Or that I know is going to keep me safe. Because, like, there have been times where I've interviewed somebody, you know. So I interviewed this person one time, and we were literally just it had nothing to do political, and I'm not even about to get into politics, but it was not politically inclined at all. We were just talking about his farm, his land. Mind you, we're out on, like, 300 acres of land, just us. And it was a whole thing at first, but once people had kind of left or whatever, I was trying to get a one-on-one interview with him, and we're talking, and then the conversation kind of turns, and he's very, he's one way, and he's talking about this, and he's going in, and he's asking me, and he's like, so what about you? And I was like trying to navigate, and like not, compromise my morals or anything. I was like navigating the conversation to like move around it and beat around the bush. Yeah. And he literally had said, he was like, your parents definitely raised you right, and I definitely know that you know how to correctly express your opinions because you don't know who I am. And I was like, and we're out here by ourselves. And I said, time to go.
Exactly.
Time to go. So it's just like you really have to know like who you're talking to. And I wouldn't say like it's different when you're in a newsroom. You know those people, you probably research where you're interviewing. So like there's no like you don't have to do anything there. But when you're going out interviewing, you don't know who you're interviewing. Yeah. You don't know what story you're gonna catch. You don't know what somebody's gonna say on camera, off camera, whatever. So it's just like, and I was gonna say that was something that's really hard as a Black journalist is being a journalist and being a Black journalist because you're sitting there, especially during this election season, like people are saying answers that are rubbing you the wrong way, and you just have to smize and nod, smile with your eyes and just yeah.
And I feel like sometimes, as Black journalists and definitely as Black women, people have that stereotype of the angry Black woman. Sometimes they'll respond with stuff that they want to see if you're going to kind of have a reaction, and I'm gonna give them the nicest smiles and head nod and just keep it pushing,
Right?
But then what do you do afterwards, though? Huh? Like once you have a situation where someone's pressing you, what do you do to release afterwards? That's like stressful.
I'm calling my coworker.
I'm calling my mom
or my mama.
I'm quick to call my mom, and luckily for me, like my mom is a strong Black woman. I was raised in Mississippi, where the root of most of our history, was based out of, and just to kind of call her and piggyback off the wisdom. And the main thing she always tells me is just when you're confident in who you are, I promise you it rolls right off. You can kind of say anything. And I'm very confident in my skin. I'm confident in my abilities. I'm confident in what I got to offer. So, any jabs, when I say they just roll right off, because I'm going to still be the same pop and breathe when I leave here, And I know it's just a jab that you're trying to knock me down, but I just laugh at it sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes all you can do is laugh.
It's
like,
funny.
You're funny.
Yeah.
Like,
You're
funny and miserable.
Yeah.
Now some of the jokes be funny. I'll be like, because where did you come up with that from? When I my senior year of OU, I was volunteering at this place, and this woman asked me she was like, "Oh, what are you doing? Like, what are you graduating with?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm going to go into journalist." She said, "Doesn't English have to be your first language?" And I said, "So I'm American." And it was so funny. And then she was like, she just kept going. She was so oblivious to like the fact that what she was saying was like so harmful. And she had like said something about my hair and was like, can you go on air with hair like that? And I was
Wow.
like,
Do not touch our hair, bro.
Okay, cool,
We're
cool.
not pets.
no, yeah, that's
Don't
a-
touch our hair.
that's the
Ever.
thing. Bro, the what you guys said about explaining hair, it's the funniest thing ever.
Yeah,
I
it
love
is.
to do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it's cute. Sometimes they're like, what?
They said you cut your
Why
hair.
why do you think that is though? That like people want to touch black women hair?
Because it's different and it's
Yeah.
It's
textured.
fascinating.
And,
It's
yeah,
amazing. It's beautiful.
It's exotic. So, and it's not like, and I've met some people who are like,
I feel like
wish
you've heard that before from people, haven't you?
What?
Like those words that you just use, like
Yeah.
exotic. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Foreign.
Like, yeah, like this one girl, she was like, my daughter looks just like you. She's like, which one of your parents are white? And I'm like, neither.
oh wow.
They're
Egregious
they're
time.
they're black. I was like, and I'm just like, we come in all different shapes and sizes and shades. Like it's not just one color. We're different shades, and our hair textures. We have literally a whole different range of hair textures. So I don't know. Like people see me changing my hair a lot, and they're just like, that's different. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it is. You like it?
Yeah.
Literally. And it's like, I feel people do that, and I try to open people with wide arms because I feel like when they do that, it's because they love us, but society and history has taught
Hates
you not
us.
to love the black woman as much. You know what I'm saying? Over the years, if we want to take it back, like I said, we don't have to do a history lesson. I think everybody kind of knows, you know, but at the end of the day, the black person, period, but essentially the black woman over time has been molded into this angry black woman when, for the most part, if you get to know us, we're gentle. For the most part, when you look at history, we've always helped
We're nurturers.
other people.
Like, the
We're
slaves
nurturers.
literally raised y'all's children.
Literally. We have always helped. You know what I'm saying? And so essentially, I think that is what it is when they're touching your hair. They're foreign. They're obsessed with it. They love it. They want to love it. But maybe how they grew up or they know society, maybe I'm not supposed to show love to a black woman as much, you know? So that's why when you kind of hear them calling us, you know, queens, or you hear us sisters, that's because they're wanting to start showing that love to us. But they just do it in such a way to where it's like we want to show you love, but at the same time, I just feel like maybe how they're raised and how society has presented us, it doesn't feel like they should be showing a black woman as much love, which is why I think we get that, oh, your skin's so soft. Your
Girl,
hair's
I'm
foreign.
not a
Your
reptile.
hair-
What
you
you
know?
think?
Like,
What
you
you
know
think
what I'm
my skin
saying?
was gonna be rough?
Literally. And so, and I also think, too,
I got cocoa butter at home.
okay, soft skin. And I think, too, like, where we're at right now, it's a lot of stereotypes are being broken as well, you know? So if you heard, you know, through the grapevine that maybe your grandma told you, oh, black women have rough skin. Then you accidentally swipe a black woman's leg and it's like, oh, she's pretty smooth, you know? She got some cocoa butter legs, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And so it's like a lot of stereotypes being broken because I feel for once in society, everybody is coming, at least trying for the most part, trying to come together and understand everyone. And I think, like Martin Luther King said, I got a dream. That's what I'm looking forward to. Because come and talk to me. Come and ask me. Don't just look at me and question or,
Yeah.
you know, make your own assumptions. Come and learn. You know what I'm saying? Let me take you through a little bit of history and then you give me your history. And by the time we leave, we have an understanding of each other. I can respect you. You can respect me. And we both go about our own ways with knowledge that will help us in the next situation. So,
On the flip side of that, though, there's also a lot of people who fetishize black women and men, and like sometimes they'll like I've had people who come up and touch my hair, my natural hair, when I am wearing it out, which is rare, but they'll come up and touch my hair and they'll be like, I want to have mixed babies, and I'm like
Bruh.
that is, I feel like you can admire a culture but not fetish it. Like there has to be a happy medium, and so there has to be. So it's just like I admire sometimes the admiration, or if I'm even saying that right, but like I don't want you to fetishize it, because then it's like, okay, when you do have that black child, that half black child, like, are you empowering them, or like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just like it can be kind of weird sometimes.
what's the reason for having a kid?
Yeah, like don't just want to have a baby with a black person to get curly hair and blue eyes, because not all of them turn out that way.
Exactly.
Like they don't all have curly blonde hair with blue eyes and whatever. Like
Come
sometimes
out with 4C.
yeah,
Crazy.
literally. So you might be a little upset at that, but like, sorry, you thought you were gonna get 4A or 3B. You got 4C, boo.
How about mentorship? Is that like a important role in your career? Do you have a mentor yourself, Katani?
I do. I was going to say something if I could.
Go ahead.
You want me to?
Go back.
No?
Yeah,
Go ahead. Go for it. Go for it.
He's like, I'm ready.
I was going to say on the flip side of it, about the educating and like teaching people, I will say, like, sometimes I came from a university that had a couple of race scandals. And so, like, one thing I think about is that in college, like, I went to college to be a student, not to be a educator, not to teach people. And so, like, and I get that some people, like, genuinely do want to learn. Go do your research. You know, it's like
TV.
it's about it's
We got YouTube now. People
Yeah.
can
right. That's what I'm
Right,
saying.
yeah.
And like I will sit down and have a conversation with somebody. Like my manager, for example, like she was very open about the conversation of hair when I did bring it up because, like I said, I had red braids and I was like, and my hair is red, and I'm gonna dye it, but I might do color here and here, whatever. She's like, oh yeah, like I would love conversation about different hairstyles and stuff. And so like that's kind of different. But like people who are, you can kind of tell, you can sense people who are just kind of just like fetishizing and fantasizing and stuff like that, and it's like, oh, I can send you a link, but I'm on the clock, so I have an interview to get to, or I have a deadline to make. I don't have time to sit here and talk to you about my history and my lineage when you have
There's
access
so
to all
many
the
books
information
out there.
exactly. And so I would say like Black women not just Black women, but I feel like Black people in general like sometimes burden themselves with teaching people when that's not our job. Like white people ain't out here teaching us their history.
What?
Girl, they have history. They got a lot of it.
And people should pay you if they want you to
Yeah.
No,
to
for
like
real.
teach them.
Run me a check.
Yeah.
There's
Absolutely.
that's how it's been, because I do a lot of like immigrant rights work, and I do have a lot of people that want me to explain things to them, and I'm like, like I have so many things going on, like
Right.
this is first of all, this is kind of like trauma I have to relive when I'm talking about like
Yes.
immigrants
Okay.
and the way
COVID
that
was
immigrants,
hard.
and
COVID was so hard.
so
for
it's
us.
like send me a Venmo.
Okay. Send
Not a
some
request.
thanks.
You know that thing
Run
on
me my-
TikTok where it's like, here's your
The
tip.
tip.
Yeah,
The
that's
tip thing.
$25.
Yeah.
Literally.
Sorry to go back, but
No, you're good.
the mentorship. So yeah, I actually do have several, and not just here in Arkansas. Actually, do
They're probably listening, so I'm careful.
I have a couple within my station, and I don't know if you're necessarily talking about like Black women, but I do have a couple of like white counterparts that are my mentors in my station that are in positions that I want to be in. But as far as back home in Oklahoma, because I interned at a station there for about 2.5 years, and I have a lot of like roots there with like mentors that I had from college and in that internship. And I think what's important about having a mentor is that to not have one in just a space you want to get in, because I have a producer mentor, I have a
Love
news
that.
director mentor, I have an anchor mentor, and so like when I want different things, when I'm trying to get different perspectives, I reach out to this one about this or this one about this. And then something that I was taught at a very young age is get a mentor that doesn't look like you.
Yes.
And I have yet to find a white male mentor, so if anyone out there wants to mentor me, but it's
Come
just like they were like, find one and have that relationship with them, because unfortunately, like, we do live in a society where they can get into spaces that I can't, where they can get into conversations that I can't. And it was something that I never thought of growing up, something that I was never taught to me. But I think it's definitely an interesting way to look at things. And it might have its difficulties here and there with having somebody that can't really relate to you. But I mean, like you said, there are like I just said, like there's conversations that I probably wouldn't even be let into the room just because of the way that I look or my name. Like, like my name's Katani. Even if I didn't put my picture on my resume, they're like, ugh, that's a little ethnic. I don't know about her. So I need a James in there or something to get me in. So, and then I'm like, hey, I'm Black.
Baby, they knew. They knew on the resume.
They say, hey, sister.
They can't tell with me. They possibly can with the last name,
Yeah.
but the first name is giving white girl. For sure. For sure giving white girl. But,
That's okay.
yeah, it's okay. Yeah. Mentors for me, I have all of my mentors. I have a news director mentor. She's Black. She's a Black woman in NOLA. I have one in Dallas, Cleo Green. She's my mentor. Every now and then we chat. Another mentor in Virginia, another Black woman. But I would say my actual current news director, he is a mentor to me. Like he's been a reporter, an anchor, and he doesn't look like me. He's just a white man, a good white man. And so like kind of like what Katani was saying, like he doesn't look like me, and like it's good that he doesn't because he always has a different perspective on things, and I offer him a different perspective. So I think that it's always good to diversify, like honestly everything, like
Most
friendships, relationships, mentorship. All of it should be diverse, so because you know us as Black women, we don't have the same experience for everything, but like probably similar. So it's good to have someone that's like in a different perspective than you are.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and I think it's absolutely amazing. And something that when I'm looking for mentors, essentially, I'm looking at just the heart of a person. Our morals align? Do you have my best interest at heart? Because for me, I'm always looking out for people, even though I'm essentially the mentee. You know, if I can help out my mentor, I'm going to do that, and vice versa, you know. So I always want our morals to align, and kind of same with you, like you were saying about your news director. I kind of feel like my news director is my little, you know, bestie kind of over time, and he's a white male as well, but he always has been just so open, you know, willing to listen. And that's something that I feel is sometimes very hard to find in a boss, but a boss that is willing to listen, you know, understand and figure out, okay, how can we maybe get a resolution to this? So my current news director, absolutely amazing. Love him. And I also have a mentor back in Houston that has been in the industry for quite some time and holds some weight in the industry. And so it's always good to kind of have those heavy hitters on the back end of things because, like they said, at the end of the day, when you're ready to kind of maybe take a big leap, those people can advocate on your behalf for you. So I have a lot of males. I have a few females, but most of the more heavy hitters are males in the industry. So
Okie dokie. I'm gonna ask y'all some fun questions now.
yeah, let's do it. Whoop, whoop.
We'll start with just stories in general. Like what kind of story is your favorite to cover? What do y'all like?
Anything
What do y'all
community
enjoy?
driven.
Okay.
Community. I've been doing a lot of stuff with like jails, and I don't know why I like jails, but I do. Like jail stories are just interesting to me. Probably because my mom used to work in a prison. But I do a lot of like anything.
No one take that out of context. She does not really like
she
jails.
worked out of
Yeah.
She worked. She's a nutritionist.
I meant like when you said I like jails, I was like, no one take that out of context.
Like I like the stories.
In the curve.
I like positive things. So like when I do those jail stories, like I talked about like an inmate who got his GED. Like so like positive stuff I like to cover. I don't like covering sad stuff because I am a Cancer, so I cry a lot, and I wear my emotions on my sleeve. So anything that's sad I try to stay away from. But anything fun, like I love to cover those. Housing is good to me. Like that, it's just popular. So.
That's a good one. I think for me, lifestyle. Like I love a good lifestyle because I have a really outgoing personality, and I feel lifestyle just kind of lets me be free. But when I'm more so in the news sector, your hard news day side sector, like kind of more 9 to 6, is your more like hard news stuff. Human interest stories, like they were saying, is always going to kind of take the cake for me. And as much as I hate, I guess you could say, sad stuff, I always love to take a story that maybe has an issue or has a problem and help, whether that's a family, a company, find a solution. So I kind of put my feelings aside. I'll maybe shed a tear or 2 or 3, put that aside and really look at this as, Brianna, you can use your platform as a way to help the people that, you're maybe working with for the story. So
I would piggyback off of the sad stories. They're tough to do. They're tough interviews. Very like solemn. It's not a happy day. You're probably not laughing and smiling at work, but gosh, the product after, like the story after, and like watching it and seeing, honestly, the whole production of it, from the anchor intro to the top, or the tease at the top of the show, and just like seeing like it all build up and then like getting the story told, and especially if you had to work for it, because usually like sadder stories or like really hard stories they're hard to get interviews because people don't want to talk after they just lost
the
a
best
loved one.
Emotion though.
Yeah. Or people don't want to talk if they just lost their house, stuff like that. And it's like you sit there, you form a relationship with that person in maybe like 30 minutes, however, I've spent 45 minutes trying to get an interview with somebody, and like it was so worth it. It's like, dang, now I have an hour to write this super emotional like piece, but I wouldn't have got it if I didn't sit here and talk to you and hear your story or whatever. And so like, and I love talking to people, like I love hearing people's story and stuff, and like I know that at the beginning, like people see a journalist or they see somebody coming with a camera, which you're not supposed to do. Do not approach anybody with a camera at first. For any aspiring journalists out
Right,
there.
literally.
But like when you are coming up, they see you in the news car, they know exactly what's about to happen,
Right.
and they already have that guard up, and you have to chip and work
Yes.
in a timely manner. You know, it takes like a real skill for like these women out here that do it, and these other journalists that out here that do it, and I love, like, that's like the thrill for me. Like,
Yes.
I'll be like, yes, and I call
Got
my
it.
mom and I'm like, Mom, like I'll tell her what's happened from the beginning to the end of how I got it, and I distinctly remember like the Stacey Lee Drake story that was happening, and I know like we were all hands on deck with that. Like all of us were all over Oklahoma and Missouri, and oh my gosh! But I just remember like trying to get this interview with somebody who like feared for his life because like he had saw Stacey Lee Drake like days before the alleged murders, and he did not want to go on camera, and we worked him for like an hour, bro, and he ended up not going on camera but did like a vocal interview, so it's like compromise, but he was such a great guy, like such a great story to tell, and now like my manager makes me tell it to every new hire that we have, and it's a fun story to tell, but like those hard, like tough, sad stories, I just love them. I love doing them.
Yeah, exactly. The product,
Yeah.
I think this question is kind of fun too. Faith. I think by seeing y'all social media, y'all are very.
Yeah.
Y'all are pretty. I saw pictures of your baptism
Oh wow.
also as well.
Congrats.
Thanks.
So I kind of just wanted to touch on that. Like, what does faith mean to each one of you? Whoever wants to go first.
Oh Lord.
Like
But
in
that's-
news or just in
No,
general?
just in general, in your own life.
That's the reason I'm here. When I graduated from OU, I had every intention of staying in Oklahoma. I have a very close family. I have two baby sisters. Gosh, I have two baby sisters, and I really wanted to stay home. And like my grandma had just passed about a year ago, and everyone else moved away. So it was really just like my mom, my dad, my two sisters, and me. And so moving was always out of the picture. Honestly, I was like, I'm gonna stay here. And I just remember like a job just didn't line up with the company that I wanted really, really bad. And I remember them telling me in the office like, hey, we just won't have a position for you. So now what? And I just remember sitting there crying in front of these people. I was just like, in front of these white people. Like I'm just like, I had to break down the wall. I was like, guys, I just not expecting this. And so I was like, okay, well now I got to move on. Like, what's the closest place? And it was Arkansas for the company that I work for, Hearst. And so, which is only 3 hours. Like, I'm definitely lucky, you know. Like, I know some people. I know that you're Houston. That's so much further. And so I definitely get it. But it's just the first time I've ever been more than 30 minutes from my family. Yeah. And so I just remember like praying heavily about it. And at the time, like my walk with Christ wasn't as strong as I wanted it to be. But I remember praying heavily about it, and I remember my news director at the station that I was interning, he had kind of connected me because his mentor works here and stuff. And so I applied on, this probably isn't the exact timeline, but I applied on Monday, got a call on Tuesday, was here Thursday for the interview, had the job by the end of the day. And so I was just like, okay, so I'm supposed to be here.
Exactly.
cool.
Yeah.
And for the first like few months here, I was like, why? Like, why am I here? What did you bring me here for? Away from my family. I broke up with my ex, like, oh, it was bad, y'all. It was so bad. It was probably the worst I'd ever been. I was like, I was so lonely. I didn't really look. Kyra was my only friend. And so I was like, all right, like, I guess I'll just go to church. Like, literally, that was it. Like, I dreaded weekends because at least at work, I didn't think about stuff.
Right.
And so, but weekends came and I just stuck in my house, you know, with nothing. And so I started going to church. Immediately, like, God let me know, like, this is the spot you're supposed to be in. Right. And so I actually just came up on, like, a year of going there back in October. And so, like, now I serve with the kids there. I'm on the worship team. I serve at the youth ministry on Wednesdays. And if you would have asked me, like, a year ago if I'd be doing all this stuff, I'd be like, girl, no, I'm out with the friends.
Right.
And so, like, and then I've visually seen, like, it's God's moving all the time. But I've, like, visually seen, like, Kayla, Brianna, Rachel, LaKyra, like on social media, but also like in person, just like seeing their faith grow as well. Yeah. And I don't like, it's not like we all like go to church. Like, I don't know, God's just moving, and he moves in communities. Like, so does the enemy, but like God just moves in communities. And so like when he sees like people who are in like-minded spaces and stuff, like starting to move closer to him, he'll move everybody else. And so like Lakira's starting to like do Bibles and devotionals every day, and like when we first started out, we both didn't, and so like it's just crazy. It's just crazy. I get goosebumps like thinking about it and stuff, but it gets me through here every time I think why, and I'm just like, okay, even like with like my contract coming up and stuff, I'm just like, okay, God, like what's next? You know, like I'm putting it in your hands because I don't know. Yeah, and I don't want to make the wrong decision, so you got it. I'm just here.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
Good. Made me shout up in here.
I guess mine is somewhat kind of similar, but probably a little like not. I've always been really deep in my faith. Like I grew up in the church and all that. And, you know, I went to college at Arkansas, Fort Smith, and SU in Norfolk State, Virginia. So like I've had a church home at home, but like because I was such a nomad in college, like I just was like church is just, I'll go somewhere, but I was never really connected anywhere. And so, like, when I moved here, I was like, you know what, like, I'm going to be here for 2 years originally. Now it's 3. But I really just, like, leaned into what God was calling me to. Like, before I moved here, I could never hear God's voice. Like, I've been a Christian, a believer, but I could never hear his voice. But then I really, like, started spending time with him, prayer walks, you know, devotionals, and, you know, like, he talks to me in my dreams, and just, like, spending that quiet time with him. Like, this past year was the first time I ever did a vision board and, like, prayed over it and stuff like that. So, like, I think God brought me here for a reason. I questioned it so hard because I'm like, Arkansas, God? Like, literally, I'm a city girl.
Clock it.
But, yeah,
Clock it.
I was like, I'm from Dallas, Texas, the best city in the world. Sorry, Houston. Sorry, Houston. But
second behind Houston, it's all right.
Questionable, but go off.
Yeah.
So like, I just was like, God, like, why am I here? I was so lonely. Like, I had my friends at work, but like, no one was like-minded like me. Like, everyone that wanted to hang around me was just so like not of God. And so I was just like, God, like, why am I here? Like, this job is like whatever. It's a start in the career. Far from family, like 5.5 hours. Like, I just feel so alone. Why am I here? But then, like, this year, like 2024 was when I really was like leaned into like why I'm here, and like that's when I felt like God was like, here's why you are here, you know. And I'm a volleyball coach now, so I'm pouring into other kids. I'm involved in my church now in a women's small group, and I've met other women who are like me. I have a really great relationship with a pastor for the first time in forever, like where I can call my pastor and be like, hey, like, and talk about, I've been talking to them about singleness for forever. And so like, they're constantly praying over me, praying with me, helping me through that season. So I just feel like God brought me here for community and character development, like, and I've always questioned why, because like I'm just like, I'm so lonely, like I don't got no man, like no family, like why am I here? But like it's really to work on me. Like God is not, he's trying to change me, and so, and he did. Like I'm coming out of like the fire refined brand new person. So I really like have just leaned into it, and you know, I've accomplished everything I want to accomplish. Wanted to coach volleyball, coaching volleyball. I've always wanted to be an AKA. Now I'm an AKA. So it's like, that's my sword right there.
I'm by myself, but it's okay.
First in the finest.
Okay, sorry, but not the first one to do service.
So yeah, like I just love where God has me. I finally am starting to love the season that I'm in, and so I know it's temporary, and I know I'm not gonna be here forever, but I really needed to be here to get to where I'm gonna be next. So I've learned to stop questioning God, because he got it all figured out. Like he literally is just like, I'm working on this. I got this. He said, hush, sit there and be still. I got you. And I've just met such a great community here. Like this community here eats. Like slay. Like apart from my sorors, like this community is so tight knit, and I love it. So it's worth it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to keep it short and brief because y'all done told the story, okay? Because I think that's the same, you know, with me, like, similar to Rachel, grew up in the church. Granddad was a big-time Baptist preacher. I mean, I was in the church, 25-8, family, uncles, aunts, preachers all over. So I knew my word. Like I said, grew up in the church all the time. But it's different when you get to a place and you really have to exercise every single thing that you grew up learning. It's different to talk about it. I can quote scriptures to you all day, you know. I can quote it to you, tell people. I can encourage people. But when you're by yourself, for me, from Houston, Texas, moved 9, almost 10 hours away from my family, knew nobody here. very, very lonely. And like they said, similar to them, I questioned every single day why. At the current time, I feel like my work atmosphere as well was not the best. So I was like, okay, God, the process was smooth, similar to like Katani was saying. I came, did the tour, had the job, going back to Texas after a studio tour, and so everything was super smooth. Getting my house was super smooth. And my mom always says, when God's in something, it's going to work out really smooth like that. And so I was like all excited, like, okay, this is it. But then when I got here, those first couple of months, like I said, it was kind of a lot going on, I feel like every atmosphere, whether it was work, coming home, it felt dark. I really had to exercise every single thing that I knew. And it's easier said than done. Like I said, there's somebody, I don't think nobody probably went to church as much as me growing up. You know what I'm saying? 3 services on a Sunday, but actually exercising, exercising, literally.
Well, it's also a long service too, probably because Baptist.
Yeah, Baptist. Oh my gosh.
Literally exercising what you have learned, and there was a time that I realized that, okay, God had me in the valley at the time because I was just like, God, it's just so much chaos going on. I feel like on the job it's chaos, I lost I want to say at least 12 people in my family within this year. Wow. To the point to where I didn't have enough bereavement days. I used sick days. I was getting sick. And then kind of to put the icing on the cake, my dog that I was so excited to kind of bring up here eventually, she got hit randomly by a car. And it was just kind of crazy the way it happened. It's like God gave me time to go home, see her. And an hour after I got home, she's out with my nephew, comes back, and they said, she gets hit, by a car. But I was questioning God for the longest. But I realized in that moment that, yes, we have these animals, I'm saying? We have these confidants that he puts on this earth. We have people, but essentially we should be depending solely on him. Mm-hmm. And I feel when he took all those people, I lost my granddad. Like I said, I mean, it was at least no exaggeration, 12 people, and just lost a great uncle last week. So it's like this past year has been something serious for our family. And then, like I said, when I lost my dog, I realized, Brianna, that was your emotional support. And God saying the whole time, you need to be dependent on me. Mm-hmm. I know you love your mom. I know you love your dad. But just like how your sweet Nova, who was a piece of your family, I called her home. You need to be dependent on me, And so that's something that
it's so crazy how he does
learned.
that.
I know,
he
right?
He takes away those things.
I know.
Whenever he feels like you're like idolizing or being reliant on something else, he'll take it away.
It's the crazy part. And it's like the fact that I flew home that Friday, got kisses with her, hugs with her, everything. She went out for her regular playtime that she has done for the past 7 years. And that one time, she get hit by a car. But I got time to kind of kiss her, get last videos, and goodbye. So that's where, at that point, I knew that was a God move, Mm-hmm. And if anything, he took that pain that I experienced and kind of turned it into really realizing, Bree, I got you out here by yourself. You keep running back to Texas. I was coming back to Texas all the time. Yes. I was traveling.
Girl, you was.
I was never here.
I was
never here. I was like, screw Arkansas, baby. I was gone, traveling all the time. And God's like, you're going to run from it, but I'm going to make you sit and think, And I mean, there was times that I was just like, why crying? And I had to realize that what mom taught you in church, what granddad taught you in church, you had to exercise it for yourself. And I feel like I've grown closer to God. Man,
something about Arkansas.
Something about it.
He makes you like he brings you. This is a place.
He brings you to the lowest point
in
your life.
Okay, lowest.
This is a valley, but like literally in my small group yesterday, like my pastor was like, she was like, people always want to like get to the mountaintop, but people don't live on mountaintops. Look. Like it's temporary. You get there, but you got to come back down. Like, and valleys are where the streams and where people live, like where stuff grows. So like, basically a situation, where she was saying was like, don't rush out of your pit, out of your valley, because like the mountaintop is temporary, regardless, just like the valley is temporary. Yeah. But like,
scared of heights.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
So it's just good. I like it here. Yeah. I will say, like, when God gives me that time for me to leave here, which is coming up.
Literally.
So, which is coming up, contract coming up. So I will be like, wow, like, thank you, God. I will thank
Yeah.
him instead of being like, hallelujah, I'm out of here.
Literally,
but no, like, thank
literally,
you,
yeah.
God. Like, I'm actually going to miss those missing
Yeah.
pieces and everything you taught me and
Literally.
everything I learned here, bringing that into the
Yeah.
new season because there was a
Yeah.
lot of wisdom and growth. And
Yeah,
all
I'm
of
gonna be
that.
boo-hoo and ugly crying, you know. And the thing is too, I feel here in Arkansas, I have met some of the sweetest people. Like I said, this community, amazing,
Goes crazy.
literally super amazing. Like, super sweet. From the very first day I went into the Aldi's right there on Weddington. How are you doing? And I'm very friendly. And the people I met here as well, friends, that, I will be invited to like my weddings and stuff like that. And it's really just a blessing to even be able to say that like fellow reporters and anchors that, hey, I want to see y'all one day, at my wedding, even though we may all disperse or whatever, but we all built a close enough bond, and that's nothing but God, essentially. He knew what he was doing. We're all from bigger cities. We all question why we're here, but he brought us all here.
So beautiful.
To put us in the fire. And it's just a blessing to see all of us kind of coming out of it as stronger, wiser women. And it's just a blessing.
And not burned.
And not
Coming
burned.
out of the fire, not burned.
Okay,
Like,
no
that's-
smoke.
That is the most beautiful part of coming out of the fire. Like,
Okay.
And just my last question to you all. We end the interview, every interview we have with this question. So I wanted to ask you, what do you do to take care of your mental health?
Pray.
Pray.
And shop.
Hey.
girl.
I thought you said shots.
I
was like, praying shots.
Pray and shop. SHOP. Glory.
You got it.
Okay. I'm very involved with my church, and so like I feel like that is the place where I get my bucket filled and fill other people's bucket too. Like I love mentorship, and I haven't yet found like a mentor that's close in age. So like I mentor little kids, and I have a group of 10th grade girls. Shout out my 10th grade girls at Switch. But we meet every Wednesday and we get to pour into them. And then also I'm on the worship team. And so like I love music. I love not just gospel music and Christian music, but just like music in general. I'm a huge musical theater nerd, musical theater minor also. But and then also like me joining the worship team was honestly so like, I say happenstance, it was God, but it kind of just came. I didn't have the guts to audition because I was really scared, and they were like, well, the worship pastor, he was like, we're gonna work with you, like we'll find a goal, we'll work for a month and we'll get there, and then we'll get you on the team. And so getting to do that every Wednesday and Sunday is also something that just like I just look forward to it. It makes me so happy. So
For me, it's always has been volleyball. Like, and God, obviously, like God is literally my anchor, but really leaning into, okay, I play a lot, helps me just not think about anything and burn a lot of calories, but also not being selfish with my gift of coaching and like mentorship, but also like pouring back into the community. That has really helped me. I've built a lot of relationships with those girls, and just seeing them grow like that. I just always wanted to give what I didn't have. So like that helps my mental health a lot, because it's like a double win for me. Like I get to play with them, I get to coach them, and I get to see them grow. Aside from that, I've really always been really big in fitness. So like fitness helps me with my mental health. So I've started doing Pilates and lifting and stuff. Just getting any type of fitness really helps me with my anxiety. I go to therapy. I found a Black therapist. Love her down. Love her down to forever. I hope she's listening. But yeah, she is amazing. She has helped me with my mental health, like, because I hold a lot of things in. And so she's like, talk about it and stuff. And so I've really gotten better about praying about it first versus like calling my mom, calling my best friend. So like talking to God about it first, because I would always talk to my best friends, and yeah, they gonna listen, but like God wants me to come to him first. Right. So I would say that. And then another thing would be just like my prayer walks. I really have been leaning into my prayer walks. I was so weird about them at first. Like I was like, I'm talking out loud, and like people are like on their bikes and stuff, probably like, is she cuckoo? But like,
You just put your AirPods on.
Yeah.
And they'll be like,
well, I do, but it's still just like, I don't know. I feel like it's subconscious. I'm shy. So I would say that, and then anything working out, faith, and then just like spending my alone time too. Like I have a Sabbath on Thursday, so Thursday or Friday, depending on what I have to do that week, is usually my day of Sabbath. My pastor told me to start doing that because I run around like a chicken with my head cut off. Like I'm involved in so many different things to keep busy, so I don't feel like I'm lonely.
Okay.
Deflecting.
So she was like, you need a day of Sabbath. And so I've been doing that. Like I'll like read my devotional, listen to a podcast, pray about whatever, journal about how I'm feeling. So having a Sabbath every week has changed the trajectory of my life because it gives me a time to slow down, spend time with God, and just like really reset for the next week. So I would say those things, the Sabbath really locks me in for sure on my mental health.
Okie dokie.
I feel like very quickly prayer for sure, of course. Taking it to God in prayer, shopping.
That does help.
It does. I don't care. I don't care what nobody
I got bills
says.
to pay.
I look shopping, but on another note, traveling is really big for me. But for me, it's not just like going somewhere. I really feel like that's my time that it's kind of weird, but like I connect with God the most. Kind of when I'm up there looking in the clouds and I'm just, talking to him and just thanking him for everything. And I get to go and experience new people, learn a new culture, whether that's a new city or a new state. And it just really helps open my mind up, especially new cultures and new countries, when I get to travel and things of that sort. But that really helps my mental health. If I'm in one place for too long, my brain's like, I need a trip, But
I do notice in your Instagram stories though that you're constantly going like back and forth.
Weren't you just in Florida?
Yeah.
Like she be everywhere.
For a while, I don't know if
On
you
the
were
low
an
is
actual
crazy.
reporter from here or you were like in Texas or what was going on. You have two jobs.
It helps my brain. I'm telling you, like my brain, I'm just like, whew.
I tried
I
even
feel
when
that
she
though.
first got her. I'm like, Bree, like, are you going to Texas this weekend? Are you going to be here? Like, trying to get her to stay here so we can actually do something. But she be booked and busy, which is good.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Thank you all for making time to be here. We went a whole hour on this podcast. So
I mean,
I love
certified yappers.
I feel
Okay,
like-
all of
certified.
us.
Okay.
I feel like we could have gone longer.
Yeah,
but thank you so
absolutely.
much. Maybe we'll run it back again in the future. But
do
I
it.
appreciate you all making the time. I know people are going to love this conversation. I loved it. Already top 5 of my favorite
Yeah.
podcast so far.
Oh,
Y'all
Top
were-
five,
Top five.
period.
Top
Hearts.
five.
You know
Sitting
why?
hearts.
Yeah.
Because we are just some 3 baddies.
Yes, exactly. Y'all killed it.
We're here with our boy.
Y'all killed it. But for everybody listening, that was the end of the episode of the District 3 podcast for this week. This is Irvin signing off.